Hello, everybody, once again. Welcome to the Spotlight Live Q&A series. Joining me today from my basement is Noah Brody, direct from New York, right? You're in New York proper, right?
I thought I was, but I just found out I'm in your basement. So
yeah,
it's not bad.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, we live in. The company is New York based. I live in Brooklyn right now. I'm in Connecticut. Our family a few weeks ago decamped to my in-laws' house. My wife's parents are in Florida and stuck there for the duration. So we're in a big old house in Connecticut, which is a lot better for having a 3.5-year-old running around. But we're going back to Brooklyn tomorrow. In fact,
really? Okay.
To check, be home for a few days. We miss home.
I bet. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm super excited to, one, not only catch up, but two, just kind of see where you guys are at in this whole kind of craziness with the pandemic, because you as well own a theater company, Fiasco Theater.
Mine's nonprofit. I don't know about yours. I don't own anything.
Well, that's true. Thanks for
clarifying. Whoever watching it is, they own it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, but organizing, I guess I should say.
I run a theater company.
Yeah, you run a theater company. We are for profit, unfortunately, but that's. And I'm going to pick your brain about that too, kind of the differences of that. But so once, where were you guys at once this whole thing kind of broke out? Were you in the middle of shows, rehearsals? What were you guys up to?
Interesting. Well, for the company, our history for the last for the first 10 years of the company, we're now about 10 years old. We were very lucky in that our work was being developed by much larger theaters. So we have partner theaters like big New York theaters, big California theaters, Europe, places like that. They essentially produced our shows.
Okay.
They raised the money, they spent the money. We created the shows, and then we were presented by them in their theaters for the most part. Yeah.
Interesting. Can you go into that a little bit? Because I'm curious about that. So you guys basically develop, not write the shows, correct?
So far, we up until this point, we've done a lot of Shakespeare and Sondheim, the natural pairing.
Yes.
And so to give you a little history, our first show was in 2009. We had been working together under the name Fiasco for a while, doing small things, developing workshops, little productions, kind of going like, we know what, we got a thing here. We all were in graduate school together. We missed the kind of experience of taking full responsibility for creating a show and not just being actors in another theater's production. We all are actors, first and foremost. So we started making work together just for ourselves. We did our first full production in 2009. And that production was Cymbeline, Shakespeare's Cymbeline. And we did it because we really wanted to do that show. And parts we wanted to play. We thought we could play interesting challenges and all that stuff. And we thought nobody's going to come see this thing anyway. We're just making the art. We're just going to do it for ourselves.
We have that in common. I have that same thought for all of our shows.
Nobody's going to watch this.
No one's going to come see this.
Cymbeline? Who's going to watch Cymbeline? We did a six-person Cymbeline that had been, until that point, historically done with like 15 or 20 people. We did it in this fourth floor walk-up theater in Tribeca, New York. And I produced it. My wife, then my sort of girlfriend, fiance, I produced it. We did all the laundry at home, all that stuff, right? And I remember in the producing budget that the plan was to try to get 22 people a night to see it. And I thought, well, that's impossible. We don't know that many people. It ended up being like, we have to get like 150 people to see this. There's no way we could do that. The long story short is through a lot of sweat and work, the New York Times came and reviewed it and gave us this wonderful review, and the thing kind of took off like a rocket, and it got multiple productions and iterations. It got put off Broadway, got produced off Broadway, and then it got produced off Broadway in a 6-month commercial production. This launched us. As a result of this, other theaters kind of said, "Hey, what are you doing? Do you want to bring a show here? Make a show for us?" And that ended up being an incredible journey. So creating a production of Into the Woods at the McCarter Theater that went from the McCarter to the Old Globe in San Diego, to off Broadway in New York at the Roundabout Theater, to London at the Meunier Chocolate Factory. So our productions got these multiple life cycles historically, some through the Folger Theater in DC and Theater for New Audience, that we would create shows for a theater, and then another theater would pick it up and produce it. And we just went along for this ride.
Wow.
Which was wonderful in many ways. Being young and nimble, it was great. We didn't have to raise a ton of money. The only way we got paid was being actors and directors. So we had to keep generating that kind of work.
Yeah.
That model worked for us for a long time until it didn't. When one day we were doing a workshop of a musical that we're very excited about, and we had to talk to the company, brought to the company this opportunity of a fantastic theater, regional theater, said they wanted to produce us. They gave us a definite slot here, come do a show with us. And we looked at each other and went, nah. And we realized, like, if this thing 3 years ago would have seemed like an amazing opportunity, what's happened? And there were several things that we realized. It took us some time, and it took us about a full year to stack up this argument, and then from that realize what we need to do from it. And the way I kind of think about it is, like, first of all, we now had like families and homes that were holding us, and in some cases kids. And when you have children, A, you don't want to leave them, but B, a lot of your life gets planned around their school schedules and things like that. Right. The end of desire.
Yeah.
And so, living in a great city in or somewhere in the country for 8 or 9 weeks, before that, wonderful. Great, I'll be in a single apartment, it'll be fine. All of a sudden you're going, no, I got to bring my family. It's not enough money. It's time away. So that was a problem. The other thing we realized is that every time we met with these organizations, as wonderful as they are, we're artistic directors talking with another artistic director. And they say, what do you want to do? And we say, oh, we really want to do this thing. And they go, yeah, I don't think we can do that. We just did one like that, or our season is kind of about this or something like that. And then we go, okay. How about this one? And we go through this iterative process where all of a sudden we realize we're deciding to do not our first most or second most passionate project or project we're passionate about, but like our 6th or 8th, or a title that we both came up with because we could kind of both figure out a why to do it. Yeah. And we come to each other going like, well, we're not able to lead the artistic conversation. And then also what we realize is these theaters, again, they're incredible partners, but the people who come see them, they buy tickets to that theater's season. They identify as patrons of the theater. If they like the show, they buy more tickets to that theater. They donate to that theater, not the Fiasco.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So we weren't able to build we didn't have subscribers. We couldn't really build a support base. We were doing incredibly well for a small theater company, but we had hit a ceiling. We thought, this is as far as we can take this. This model has worked, and now it doesn't. And
I'm curious, real quick. Let's say that theater company calls you guys and says, we want you to come to the show. Do you guys travel as a company and you're going there and you then you stage the show, come up with the set, the light design, you do the whole shebang and perform it as well?
There are multiple, we've done it in multiple different ways. One would be, we'll say to them, okay, if you want us to deliver the production, we'll put together a budget for all of that and say, this is what it's going to cost. And it's a very big number. and
Mhm.
we'll deliver everything and put the show in. And we will, but your team, your behind the house team will kind of work with them. Much more often is that they're writing all the contracts and we make the decisions on the cast, the designers. We run the artistic development of that show.
Okay.
But we work with the theater's infrastructure to develop that show.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's been more often the case at this point. Does that answer that question?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just kind of curious what that is like. They call you up and say, "Hey,"
and what they have wanted, almost invariably, they say, "We want the company members." Like they want 6 original company members. We have this long history. It's over 15 years of working together. This kind of alchemy that we have a shorthand and a way of working and we have a way of rehearsing that kind of defines our productions.
Yeah.
And then we'll say, okay, we can't guarantee the participation of any particular company members. What we can say is we're enthusiastic about it, but we're often talking about a show that's like 2 years into the future with these theater companies, right? Or more. Right now we're talking with companies about stuff for 23 and 24.
Wow.
So for us to like guarantee anybody's participation is ridiculous, right?
Yeah. What are you doing 4 years from now? Oh,
yes. Well, what do you want to do 4 years from now?
yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to be 109 years old. I don't know what I want to do. What we've ended up happening is for often we'll choose a show. If it's not a small cast show, we'll choose a show that gives us the opportunity to bring in new collaborators as actors, as designers, dramaturgs, whatever, just to sort of keep growing the artistic family of the company. Also for like inclusion and diversity, we're 6 white people. We no longer feel comfortable saying like, we're just going to be 6 white people making shows about 6 white people all the time, or more often like 6 white people making shows about 23 white people where we all play 3 and 4 roles. Often what'll happen is some company members won't be able to join, or the show needs 8 or 10 actors, and we go, great, that helps us diversify the company and grow our family of artistic collaborators. But some theaters will say, well, if it's not going to be the 6 of you, we don't really want to do it. Like,
yeah.
Well, okay. Well, there's no way to guarantee anybody's participation.
Yeah. Well, I remember we used to deal. So, a little backstory: Noah and I met doing the Reduced Shakespeare Company, but I remember they used to run into that problem too. The people would call them, and be like, "We only want the A squad." It was like the A squad. I think Austin was like, "You're all in the A squad." So there you go. It's like, okay,
congratulations, you're now the A squad.
We all got our letter.
Yeah. Also, like, but you're a theater of 150 seats, correct? But okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just check it. Yeah. So that leading up to that then is what were you guys up to?
So what had happened is we completed like a year of real introspection and strategic realignment. I mean, massive for us, where we had lots of internal meetings, collaborators, all kinds of advice from everyone. And what we did was we had been planning this big pivot for the company, where we would continue to work with collaborators of our theaters, that we continue to work with, but we were going to start self-producing. This is still happening. It's just more in the future now. We're going to start self-producing on a small level, so that we instead of like saying, well, now we're just going to like try to produce off-Broadway shows, which is incredibly expensive and is just a great way to lose a bucket of money. Yeah, we've got an initiative that we're doing, which is short. You'll know this well. This is very much a Reduced Shakespeare experience that we had, which is like we're just gonna rehearse for about 2 weeks, and we're gonna go from first read all the way through 3 public performances in those 2 weeks, and it's called Without a Net. And the idea is it's kind of should feel like the last rehearsal in the rehearsal room. not fully off book, but staged, and like, you know enough about the show that you've learned what it's like to rehearse, you've learned what it's like to direct, and it'll be fun to put it in front of an audience to get their feedback and see what is it like to perform this thing. But it's half baked, so you're really performing without a net. And we thought, well, we could do several of those for less than the price of a production. We need to build our infrastructure, our producing capacity. We need to build our sort of fan base and supporter base in New York. So self-production was one sort of pillar. We've all always taught through NYU, through our own classes, and we offered for the first time, we had a 6-week full-time conservatory in the fall of 2019. We are growing that and building that out until what will be a year-long conservatory, classical theater based, but a full school essentially. And then this other thing, which is working with colleagues as well, theaters that we have relationships with. So we'll continue to work in their theaters and around the country. But the self-producing lets us say, we want to do this show and we want to do it at this time in this way. Something we could never do when we had to negotiate with other artistic directors. They have different mandates, time schedules, all this. So we were on the cusp of announcing all this. As it turned out, because Jesse and I, there are 3 of us that run the company: Jesse, Austrian, my wife, Ben Steinfeld, and myself. But because we were about to have a child, we said, we got all this stuff done from October through February. They were like, okay, we're having a kid in March. So we're gonna take March, April, and May. Essentially, like, the theater was going dark. Like, just kind of simmering. Ben was gonna run the show, have the meetings we need to have. And then in June, we kind of kicked back up again into going into rehearsals for something in August. And as well as lots of developmental work. So like, this particular period was meant to be very quiet for us. So we're lucky. But the slate has been wiped clean for the rest of the year. Right. And we're already talking, like, we had multiple shows lined up, multiple workshops, big ones for big productions for 21 and 22. All of those pushed off the map. Some of them will come back online in 21. Some of them will get pushed even further. So we're now in that moment, like a lot of the theater companies going, well, what do we do? How do we sort of take advantage to the degree that we can of like what this time means? For us, we've just started to articulate a vision that is still inchoate, but coming a little bit more into focus. I think for me, the primary goals are: 1, survive, make it through, hunker down and make it through, live to produce another day, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, our overhead is very low. We don't have a space. We don't run a theater. We don't have a lot of personnel. We've got 2 other people besides the 3 of us that are really staff. We can kind of just hide until it's done to a certain degree.
Yeah.
We try to take care of artists. So what we're trying to do is, because we're all equity actors, we're considering putting together a series of developmental workshops. So we'll say, all right, well, let's develop art shows for 21, 22, 23. Because we have a long developmental timeline as it is. We'll get together as a company for 2 days, 3 days a week, 2 weeks, several times over the developmental life of a show. Like, well, let's see if we can do that, concentrate that, and try to get everybody to qualify for 6 months of health coverage through the union, right? Like, that would be a very virtuous goal if we can accomplish it, especially in this time. And then thirdly, there should be some sort of, since we're nonprofit, there by definition and by law, we exist for the public good. So the reason there's a tax deduction for contributions to our company is, well, we're serving the public. So we need some sort of outward facing agenda as well, things that will give people access to our work, teaching, reading, things like that. We haven't been doing the sort of Zoom performance thing. We've been watching others do it and trying to figure out if there's a way for us to do it and feel good about it without jumping into that, because it hasn't really excited.
Yeah. It's tricky. It's weird. Yeah. I mean, we've had the same thought too. We do have one thing coming up that we're kind of developing now to do kind of live in the similar kind of setting, but yeah, it's weird. It's, you know, when your art form relies so much on just connecting with an audience there, and then you take that away, it's like, okay, how? Because we've tried doing actually a couple improv shows like this.
How did
that well, yeah. It's so we have 3 recorded. We haven't released any of them yet. So yeah, it's tricky. It's just hard. It's, you know, it's especially in improv because you rely so much on that eye contact and just feeling the energy.
Body. Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard. I know there are a lot of people out there doing improv shows online though, and I've watched a few of them too. And it's, you know, you watch it, but
you watched any that felt more successful for any reason?
I have not. There is a group that was based in LA when I was there. D. Ryan, Dave Rosowski. I know they're talking about doing one. I'm really excited to see what they do because I think that that's going to be really, really good. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is mostly short form stuff where they'll just do games, kind of the pun related games. They kind of focus more on that because it's not so scene based. It's just jokes basically. So I've seen a lot of that, and yeah,
it is. Yeah, there's been a lot of like releasing archival videos, which is for me is the like the least appetizing version of a way to watch theater.
Yeah.
So I obviously understand why people are doing it, both in terms of like just trying to stay connected with your audience,
right?
But hasn't been thus far anything that excited us, even if we had permission to do such things. I mean, in our case, almost all those archival videos are owned by other theaters anyway, to the extent that anyone owns them. But
yeah. Well, and that's all of our shows, our main stage shows. They're all, you know, we don't own the rights to them. We'll release clips of songs and that here and there, but we wouldn't be able to post the whole show out there.
Right.
So yeah, that stuff's tricky too. And all that.
Uh-oh. Frozen. Am I frozen?
Did I lose you?
You froze for me. I don't know if I froze for you.
Uh-oh.
Pixelated as you are in real life.
Oh, there we go. I lost you. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm back.
Yeah, we're not. At least we're not doing an improv show.
yeah. Nothing kills an improv show like having technical errors.
Are you there? Are you there?
Do you hear me? Well, I wanted to take a quick trip down memory lane with you. As I said, we met doing Reduced Shakespeare Company. We both were hired on to do the Hollywood show through Holland and Belgium, which I can never remember right. I always say we were there for 6 months because it felt like 6 months, but I don't remember how long we were actually there.
Well, they were actually, were they one tour or 2 tours?
It was one. It was one.
Holland, Belgium was one.
Yeah.
Ireland was another.
That was a separate tour. Yeah.
But I did those back to back. So they are inextricably linked in my mind.
Yeah.
I think that was like 8 weeks, but no, because we were in that place in Holland for 9.5 years. Because that little I don't know what's the outback in Holland.
The way they sold it to us is it's a summer park, but we're there
in the winter.
We're there in the dead of winter when no one's there, so that's why we could stay there.
Yeah, that was bizarre, and I'm sure very cheap for the company.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, and that was my second time there.
At that particular park?
Yeah. Because I went the first time I went, it was the books show, and
Right.
we went to Holland for, I want to say it was like 2 months, and then we had a big break, and then we went back to Belgium later in the fall. So they had broken it up that first time, and then for Hollywood, they said, well, they're so close together, let's just combine it and make it all one tour. So we started in Belgium, and I don't know if you've seen these, but these
aren't going to be photos, are they?
Yeah.
Hey!
So I believe this was from our last show in Belgium, before we jumped over to the Holland crew.
Okay.
And then, that's the space movie there.
Oh yeah.
The MGM line. This one of my favorite bits.
Yes. Oh my God. I forgot about all of this. So dumb.
We were so young and so.
Oh my God.
The silent movie bit there.
And then I suffered some form of psychotic break and shaved my head in Ireland.
Oh, did you? Well, it probably was due to the Holland and Belgium tour. It was so funny. I could not stop laughing that whole tour because you are a very fit guy and take very good care of your body and you eat well. And the entire trip there, all it was bread and cheese was all we could find to eat.
And covered in mayonnaise.
Covered in mayonnaise, yeah.
Yeah, you order a beer and they serve it in mayonnaise.
Yeah. And I remember it got close to the end of the tour, and we were at we somehow found a restaurant. That was the other thing. You just couldn't find an open restaurant anywhere.
Right.
And then
these towns, they were like, we would roll into these towns and they're like, I think there were 11 people in this place. Like, and none of them seems to run a place that sells a sandwich.
No. And finally at the end, we were in a restaurant and you just broke down. And I remember you kind of dropped a fork on the table and you're like, can I just get a salad? I just want a salad.
They don't eat vegetables, not fresh vegetables.
Yeah. You want salad? Like, just bring me a head of lettuce. That's all I want.
And their response would be to bring Brussels sprout soup in cream.
That's right.
Here's some pommes frites. They're vegetable. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, such a fun time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like one of those experiences of like living in a dorm where it's like, oh, that was so much fun, so much memories. I don't think I want to do it again.
Let's not do that again.
Yeah.
Yes, I also remember from that your fantastic talent on the piano, as well as your bizarre desire to waste it upon playing Dave Matthews.
Well, wasted, it's a relative term. I spent my whole life perfecting it, those 4 songs.
I also particularly remember, and for the sake of your family, I'll say this was a joke.
Oh boy, I'm scared what's about to happen.
I remember at some point you referring to your laptop as being optimized for porn. And that it can't run any other program.
That was my old laptop that literally was, I couldn't do anything on it.
It had so much malware or something.
Yeah, it was just so cluttered with ads and pop-ups and everything. And I literally could not open up one program. Like, all I want to do is call home. Why can't I call and just ad after ad after ad? I'm like, no.
Nothing.
I don't need these pills.
Those are the days we would still go to those internet cafes too to try to call home.
Yeah.
With the like gamer headsets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You're like trying to call your loved one while people are on either side of you, or playing online games or whatever.
Yeah. When I remember we would go in there after shows because we'd go back to the same place. We'd be in a new city every day, but we'd go back to the summer park.
No matter how long the drive was.
No, didn't matter.
It's only a 2.5-hour drive back to the summer park. The whole country you can drive in 5 hours, but don't worry about it. This is the shortest route.
We'll go back home. Yeah. And then I'd stroll in there at like 1 a.m. and try and call my wife, and Parker, our oldest, was 4 months old, and I'd be like half awake just staring at the computer, and you'd have to pump the euros into the machine.
Yes, that phone in the bar, right?
Yeah.
That thing you could call. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Again.
And they would serve the Genever. The Genever.
Oh yeah. Was that clear drink and the
Yeah.
Gosh, basically, I was trying to remember.
Basically gin, but with an edge.
But stronger.
Gin, but a serrated edge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Again, yeah, loved it. Don't want to do it again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. 12 years later, my body couldn't handle it.
No way. Well, it's like you said, when you like getting prompted to go do a show at a theater somewhere else across the country, it's just like, once you have the kids and everything, it's like you're packing up your whole life, and
set of considerations.
Yeah. It's tough for sure. Well, cool. Let me double check, make sure no questions came in. Yeah, no, I thank you again so much for doing this and giving us your time. And I wish you the best out there. And I continue to follow you guys and keep track of everything you guys are doing.
Thanks. Stay healthy.
You too. Yes.
All right. My love to your family. Hope you got your theaters hopefully will weather this as well as possibly.
Yes. Thank you.
You guys have a physical space?
We do, yeah. We're located in it used to be a Mason's, the Scottish Rite Cathedral. Mm-hmm. And it's just this gorgeous 600-seat theater right in the middle of it. Oh, and so yeah, it's we never, we didn't open it with the intention of being like, we need to open another theater company, because we counted where we are. There's 9 other theaters where we are.
Wow.
In the Midwest here. So it was, we're very rich.
Directly with sort of competing for the same audience, you think?
Not really. It's, a lot of the people that love to go to theater around here go to all the theaters. There's a ton of support in the community. We're pretty strategic with some of the shows we pick to make sure that we can stand out and be something different and that people want to go to. But it's, it's a gorgeous space we host weddings in there, concerts, we do all sorts of other events and stuff besides our 6 main stage shows that we do.
And how many people do you have as far as like, how much staff are you trying to maintain through all this?
We're kind of in the same boat. we didn't really have a whole lot. It's Sarah and myself do a lot of, we do all of the business side of stuff. We have an amazing music director, Megan, who music directs all our shows. And then we also have a choreographer this was going to be, in June was going to kind of be the start of her joining and doing every show. So, and then we have a staff too for our children's classes. We do a lot of children's classes as well. But that kind of rotates too with people. So, aside from us 4, that's really kind of it. That's the solid ones that are there for every show.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I hope your fans keep supporting you through all this.
Yeah. And that's and things like this, doing these Q&As and maybe releasing an improv show, stuff like that, just keeping us out there. And
wait a minute, you've recorded 3, but you haven't released them. Why don't you just edit them to make them funnier, tighter?
I've tried. I've tried.
Going from F to a D doesn't really make the difference.
D, at least. Yeah. It's and each one is like 30 minutes long, and the concept's really cool. It's really funny. It's just, I think we just have to hone it, just because it's a different medium. We're not used to it. So it's I've watched it a couple times now. I'm like, there is some good stuff in it.
Right.
So all you watching out there, it's coming. It'll be great. It'll be great when we do it.
You could splice together the best bits from the three. Like, wasn't he wearing a different shirt a second ago?
Yeah, I'm just gonna clip together all the punchlines.
That's it. Or always the same shirt. No one will know that it was a different night entirely.
No, different character. I changed characters. All right. Well, thanks so much. Thanks for watching, everybody. And check out Fiasco Theater. Oh, where we go? Oh, there we go. Yes, there it is. FiascoTheater.com, and check out all the cool productions that they have up there. All right. Thanks, buddy.
Great catching up with you.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.